Welcome to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by thelines.com. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined by Nate Weitzer. He's on the East Coast. And we're looking at NBA player props to close out this work week with you all on a much bigger Friday slate here in the NBA than we had on Thursday, where we had just 2 games. Nate and I are recording this for you guys on Thursday night, getting ahead of this stuff with you. Pretty early lines still out for everyone. And while we're recording, we are currently 4-0, I believe, on these player props and a few of the best bets as well from Thursday. So feeling really good as we're now 13-0 before we know what happens at the very end of this night with the Hawks game against the Magic. But we'll see how that one goes. Either way, continue to follow along. We've got player props in here for you. We've also got a best bets video up, so like and subscribe to that page. Also want you to head to thelines.com, check out everything we're putting up on the site, and use that odds finder tool that I tell you about every time we talk, and make sure that you're getting the best odds available to you on all these books giving us bets this season. Nate, let's go ahead and get into your first NBA player prop for Friday.
Yeah, Kelly Oubre over 13.5 points. The Sixers are at Detroit here, about 7-point favorites in the in-season tournament. Look, I like Oubre to just score. He has one job. He does not pass. You said it earlier, Cam Thomas never saw an assist he liked. Oubre feels the same way, averaging 17.5 in just under 30 minutes per game for the Sixers team. And he's facing a Detroit team that has given up the 6th most points to small forwards. Interestingly, the only time he hasn't hit this prop this year was against like the worst teams the Blazers have faced. It was again in blowouts over the Wiz and the Blazers. And I'm like, is that a red flag? Is like Oubre not stepping up when they don't need him to? No, it's because Joel Embiid dropped like 45 in 20 minutes in both of those games. He's just going absolutely bonkers. They didn't need anything. We'll see what Jalen Duren can do tonight against Embiid. Only their second career meeting. He did help hold Embiid to 22 points the only other time he faced him. At this point, much more of a man than a boy than he was maybe 2 years ago when he did line up against the MVP. Overall, Detroit allowing the 9th fewest points to centers. And like I said, they've been very vulnerable on the wing. They allow the highest free throw rate in the league. And they allowed the 3rd fewest assists per game, which actually encourages me that you're not going to be having nice free-flowing offense. You're just going to have a guy like Tsunami Papi who does not pass. Again, he just looks for his shot, and he never really saw a shot he didn't like. Also, the in-season tournament thing, the whole festive court and atmosphere, he's got to love vibing into that, right? I mean, he leads the league in blown kisses, as Zach Lowe says. So yeah, if we could bet on that prop, let's parlay it with this one.
I like the angle of let's just call him slightly narcissistic Kelly Oubre shining in a moment where they're trying to get some more pub on these games and the courts are a little bit more vivacious, if you will, which is something I know he loves, into fashion, all that. Whatever. I'm here for that player prop. I'm going to go with a fade here. And as I've mentioned a couple times now, we're recording on Thursday night. And what's interesting about this Kings and Thunder game is that like De'Aaron Fox was just ruled out, which means right as we start recording, the lines were taken down for this game. So Keegan Murray doesn't have any props, and he didn't anyway because they were waiting for the Fox news to come out. And Keegan Murray especially is someone who's going to be super impacted by Fox coming out. So here's what I'm saying for when you watch this video. If you see a 13.5 or any higher, like I like an under on that. 14.5 I feel great about. And I'm using those numbers too because 15.5 has been his points prop even since De'Aaron Fox went down. 4 games ago now. He was there for the first 3. You look at Keegan Murray's numbers without him, it's just startlingly different. It's especially different in the category of shooting percentages, where he shoots basically 42% from deep with De'Aaron Fox in there, and he shoots 31 or 30% from deep with him out of there. And that's been this season. He's not shooting 41% last year as well. That's this season. In the 3 games with him, he came out firing in those first 3 games, scoring a ton of points each game, getting well above this prop before he then left. And then the 4 games in a row without him, we go right down. He averages a couple more points a game with D Fox, even going back to last season when he didn't have his point guard. And like I said, all those shooting percentages just go way, way, way down. And actually, I'm sorry, I was talking about the full sample size of 74 games total in his career without D Fox, or with D Fox. He's at 41% from deep. So it's just because he's stand and shoot, right? Like even the last game where they just got blown out by the Rockets, I think he had 2 uncontested shots in that game when I was looking at the box score of his like 12 field goal attempts. So it's going to be the same thing. His threes are not open. That's why he's gone down to like 12% right now in his last 3 games from deep, because he just can't hit anything right now, including that 0 for 8er against the Rockets. So I think that's going to continue in a game with the Thunder where they lock up small forwards. That's obviously they have a lot of Jalen Williams covering that particular position, plus a couple of other guys, including Lou Dort. If you want to get thrown in the torture chamber, come get it. I don't think it's going to be a good night for Keegan Murray and really for the Kings in general.
Yeah, fading the whole Kings offense without De'Aaron Fox, no problem with that. And we are on the Thunder here. It was plus 2.5 when it opened, then Fox was ruled out. So we'll see where that line reopens. But anything under -3, I think, for OKC is definitely playable. If you do want a number that we have at this moment, I was trying to pitch Josh on Paul George over 22.5 points. He put up like a quiet dud in James Harden's debut against the Knicks. Next time out, he goes 7 for 20 from the floor, 2 for 10 from 3. So clearly there was some sort of discussion about from the Clippers saying like, all right, Paul George was cooking before this guy arrived. So like we need to keep grease that squeaky wheel, make sure he still gets his attempts up. So anytime someone takes 20 shots and their point prop is 22 points, I am very comfortable with that. He's playing the Mavericks. He's had success against them a lot. That should be a higher scoring environment. Even though I like the Mavs to win that game, I think Paul George scores. If you want an under, this kind of fits with Josh's under in the Grizz hosting the Jazz, and I'll go under Jordan Clarkson, 28.5 points, rebounds, assists. If there is a poster child for how the Jazz have struggled on the road versus at home, it is Jordan Clarkson this year. In 5 road games, averaging just 12 points per game, 2.5 rebounds in 30 minutes, and shooting 9% from deep, 34% from the floor overall. So the fact that he cooked Memphis for 20 points on 8 for 13 shooting at home, the Jazz ran away with that game, scored 133. They've been awful offensively on the road, and they're on a continued long road trip here. Makes it a pretty good spot to fade him. I mean, his previous 2 at Memphis, 15 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, gets you under this. Like generally not. I mean, his points prop is 19.5 if you want to just go under there. And Marcus Smart, while he was part of that, giving up the 20 points, in the previous 5 meetings with Smart and the Celtics, Clarkson went under this in 4 of those, and he averaged 13.5 points per game. So Marcus Smart is a guy who can keep Jordan Clarkson from getting hot. The last 2 roadies before a nice blow up against the Pacers, who are just a fun team to play against, as we found out again on Thursday night. Stars can get their points. Anybody can get their points. It's up and down. So the last 2 roadies before that for Clarkson against the Bulls and Wolves, total of 17 points. And those are good defenses. Grizzlies also still a good defense, even though they can't score.
They certainly cannot. I'm with you. You had a lot of conviction on this one. We both know how volatile Jordan Clarkson's output can be night to night, and when you find a good spot that is like this one in Memphis, with the defense that Memphis is playing, with the choppiness and grossness that we expect from this game, the thing is like it just seems like some nights they're just like, go ahead Jordan, just go get it, and it's when he plays a lot of minutes. But I'm always afraid of an under with him. I prefer to find the spots where I can hit the over, and usually it's when he's coming off a bad night and he's in a prime position. But this is I would certainly prefer an under before I take it with him. I'm just saying it's more of a stay away from me. But let me close things out here. No, what am I? I'm here. I'm closing things out. All right, cool. I'm just making sure I got the right amount of props. You threw me off with your Paul George one. I was like, I don't know how to do it. It's not like we normally do it. Anyway, Oscar Thompson in a angle that we both were looking at in this Detroit Pistons game, where they are just going to have a ton of dudes out, man. And like I was actually looking. I think you mentioned it perhaps in the other video where we talk about our best bets. And I think you were talking, oh no, I'm sorry, you were talking about with Kelly Oubre and why you like him to score, right? And in this video, talking about player props. And like, I was using the same logic you were even talking about to go, maybe Jalen Duren is someone who is a little bit of an Embiid slower downer because you don't stop him. You just, hope he decelerates a little bit. And really, they guard centers well because of him and because most of their roster is made up of centers. So I hope that they can guard the position when you can just throw a rotating door of centers at people. I would consider an under. I think his points, rebounds, and assists was up at like 47, 48 and a half for JoJo. I know his points are 29 and a half. His it's a little bit smaller than that. It's probably about 46, but I still like an under for that too because his assist prop has gone up. The pick that I'm making officially is Oscar Thompson to go over 20 and a half points and rebounds at plus or minus 104 on FanDuel. And I love Oscar Thompson, man. Like that's analysis number one. Love him as a player. He's hit this in every game except for the very first 2 games he ever played in the NBA. And he's averaging 32 minutes a game, 21 rebounds and points combined per game as well in his career to start. So you add the fact that there's nobody playing for Detroit right now on the wing. Bojan is hurt. Alec Burks is hurt. Joe Harris is hurt and has been. Jaden Ivey's still hurt. Monty Morris still hurt. That's a lot of guys that would be potentially, either taking some time on the wing from Osser or potentially some of these stats from him. But as a result of all these people being out for even the last 3 games, his minutes over the last 3 is 37 and a half per game. He's looking at 12 points and 10 boards. And really it's like, I know that scares people sometimes when it's like they're not that much higher than the prop. It's an average of 22, but he's gone over in all of them. He's getting the minutes. The usage has continued to climb. It went from literally 6% to 8% to 16% in the last one. And I think it's going to continue to rise as they continue to trust him. Like we all were sitting here going, the Amin Thompson is it, and he's going to be nice too when he can stay on the court. But like, I don't think anyone expected Osser to currently be the better Thompson twin, and he's showing that he definitely belongs, especially around the boards where he just had 15 of them in that last game where they almost beat the Bucks. So Philly allows a ton of rebounds, 3rd most to the small forward position, 10th most points per game as well, and that's because you have some form of rotation of like Oubre, Rocco, Batum, maybe a little Tobias Harris, even though he's got to play a lot of power forward too as well. But all the guys that you'll see that are not very fleet of foot and are going to have a lot of trouble staying in front of a very quick, very athletic rookie, I think he's going to be good for over 20 points and boards combined.
Yeah, Pogo Sticks, our guy, can definitely get up and board up. Only 7.5 rebounds if you remove the points, because Philly's been really good. Just defensively. I might just go with the rebounds here. This was my similar angle you're thinking, because I had Killian Hayes at 14.5 points rebounds. So basically the same thing, thrust into a role where he's playing like 32 minutes a game, has gone comfortably over that prop in 4 straight, has really turned into a much better ball handler, not turning the ball over this year. And he's actually might be playing some small forward too, because Marcus Sasser's been playing so well. So it's Cade and Sasser in the backcourt. Either way, all these guys should be getting a lot of run here tonight as Detroit tries to cool off the Sixers.
Yeah, I know you were super low on Killian Hayes last year, and I think he had like 4 straight games of 15 points in a row. But volume player, dude, like not a Killian Hayes fan still. But when you watch him shoot from beyond 17 feet, it's like, good God. But either way, I think we'll be fine with Osser because he's getting a lot of his buckets around the rim anyway. But that is all the time that we have for you in this one. Continue to follow along. Check out the best bets as well. We will be back next week for you guys with videos each and every weekday. So until we see you next, happy betting.